By Roland Paris. He is the director of the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa, and he's a former foreign policy advisor to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and he joins us from Ottawa. Thank you so much for making time for us today, Roland.
Pleasure.
So I want to actually just shift back to what we were hearing from the Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, talking about the relationship between Canada and the U.S. and the focus that the Canadian, the Liberals have right now on making sure that they're set up for success with this new administration coming into place. We heard her talking a lot about trade and talking about Canada's stance on China. She said that we know that the U.S. has concerns with China, and we share those concerns from well before this election. I wonder what you make of how she and the government is trying to position itself when it comes to trade, and particularly with these comments on China to, I don't know, perhaps satisfy the incoming government in the U.S. On the trade front, when we know that the threat of tariffs is hanging over Canada and well, globally.
Well, I'm sure that there is just an enormous amount of outreach and work that's going on behind the scenes now to try to reach out to the individuals who are being named by Trump, but also people around them, and lots of other contacts in the United States, in Washington, and at the state level, in private industry and labor, et cetera. And like many other countries, Canada is going to spend the next few months up till the inauguration and beyond trying to communicate with people of influence in and around the Trump administration to tell them that Canada can work with the United States on some of these most critical issues for the United States. And this discussion about Canada's position on China should be viewed entirely within that light. Canada is essentially saying, listen, we understand your concerns about economic security, and we're going to work with you to try to ensure that your economic security is taken into account. In fact, she said, we're aligned on this question of Chinese overcapacity. We have the same tariffs on electronic vehicles. It is a way of saying we're partners in this and trying to establish that as the basis for a discussion.
Roland, I wonder if, saying that they're aligned is enough. And even when it comes to something like the border, she was talking about recognizing the importance of that secure border between Canada and the U.S., and that it was important for Canadians that border was secure. But what sort of messaging, and I don't know, does it need to be more than messaging? Does Canada need to put out there ahead of this new administration, which we know wants to crack down on illegal immigration on day one?
Well, I think that, right now, what's really essential is to be making contact with the people who are coming into the new administration and people around them. And the fact is that the border is something that Canada and the United States cooperate on in the most intensive ways. Every single day, there is a huge amount of security cooperation, intelligence sharing cooperation that takes place in the management of that border. So I think the starting point is to really get across and to identify Americans who are as familiar as Canadians are, or Canadian officials are, with how close the cooperation is on that border, to get that information into the hands of the new administration. That doesn't necessarily mean that these members of the new administration, some of whom your reporters were listing, won't kind of freelance and do extraordinary things. I think that they probably will, and it's going to be a very, very bumpy few years. But right now, the key thing is to reassure those people coming in the administration who might not know the degree to which we already cooperate on that border and the degree to which that border is secure. It is not the U.S.-Mexico border.
Right. Of these people that we're hearing, Roland, who are being picked by Trump to be nominated for these positions, are there any that you see as potentially being friendly with Canada? I've heard it described as in the last administration. We were talking to someone earlier. They said there were friends of Canada within Trump's previous administration. But he said the short answer was no, we didn't see any friends in this one so far. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I don't see a lot of really in the names that have been mentioned so far. I don't see, and I might be missing something, individuals who have a long, strong, positive relationship with Canada. But that said, a couple of things. One is, the U.S. system of government is sprawling, decentralized. Power is distributed. Congress matters a lot. The politics of the country take place not just in Washington, but at the local level. So, we can talk about the individuals who are being nominated for these positions, but the policies that they are implementing are policies that have inputs from all over the place. So Canada, there are a lot of levers of influence in the United States. And the second thing is that I think that, a lot of these people are going to be focused on things other than Canada when they first come into office. And in a way, that might give us a little bit more time in order to do some preventive medicine.
Aren't we so important, Roland? We'll have
Sure,
to leave,
we are to us.
we'll have to leave it there, Roland, but really appreciate you joining us today. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
That's Roland Paris, Director of the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs at the University of Ottawa.